There are NBA players who changed basketball. Then, there are NBA players who changed basketball without ever playing a single game. June 17th, 1986, Madison Square Garden. The Boston Celtics had just done the impossible. Fresh off an NBA championship led by Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, and Robert Parrish, they somehow walked into the draft with the second overall pick. To the rest of the league, it felt unfair. The defending champions were about to add the best athlete in college basketball. As NBA Commissioner David Stern stepped to the podium, he made it official. The room erupted. Cameras flashed. Len Bias smiled as he slipped on a Celtics cap. It looked like the beginning of basketball's next great dynasty. Nobody knew. It would also be the beginning of one of the greatest tragedies in sports history. To understand why this moment mattered so much, you first have to understand who Len Bias was.
Down, watch this! You watch Bias just push the elevator.
Good lob. And a stop for Bias.
Oh, followed in by Bias.
People knew him because of how unbelievably talented he was. At 6'8", around 210 pounds, Bias had everything NBA scouts dreamed of. He could rise above defenders with ease, finish through contact, shoot from the perimeter, defend multiple positions.
Now Bias has such a great variety of
Bias with that turnaround jump shot. He loves the baseline.
And most importantly, he had that rare quality coaches couldn't teach. When the biggest moments arrived, he wanted the ball.
his Bias. Ooh, he got it down the hole in a hurry.
Former Maryland head coach Lefty Driesell once described him as a player who loved pressure. The brighter the lights, the better he played.
Watch this, it's back over the head. Ooh, he nearly stole that one. And
During his 4 years at the University of Maryland, Bias became one of the greatest players in school history. He won ACC Player of the Year twice. He averaged over 23 points during his senior season, and against some of the toughest competition in college basketball, he looked like he belonged somewhere else. One game, in particular, became legendary. February 1986, Maryland versus North Carolina. On the other side stood one of the greatest college teams ever assembled. Future NBA stars, future Olympians. Dean Smith on the sidelines. The stakes couldn't have been higher, and Len Bias put on the performance of his life. He attacked the rim without fear, hit impossible jumpers, outplayed future NBA talent. By the final buzzer, even people wearing Carolina blue couldn't stop talking about him. That night wasn't just another great game. It became his announcement to the basketball world. I'm ready. NBA scouts didn't see him as simply another lottery pick. Many believed he could become one of the league's next superstars. Some compared his athleticism to Michael Jordan, not because they played exactly alike, but because both possessed something almost impossible to measure: explosiveness, competitiveness, the ability to completely take over a basketball game. There were debates over who had the brighter future. Jordan had already begun his NBA career, but many executives believed Bias had every physical tool needed to reach that same level of greatness. Whether that would have happened, we'll never know. But one thing was certain: every team picking outside the top two wished they had a chance to draft him. Instead, that opportunity belonged to Boston. And for the Celtics, it couldn't have come at a better time. Larry Bird was still the best player in the world. Kevin McHale was entering his prime. Robert Parrish remained one of the league's most dependable centers. But they all knew something: dynasties don't last forever. Bird's body had already begun showing signs of wear. The Celtics needed someone to carry the franchise into the future. They believed they had just found him. Boston newspapers called the pick a masterpiece. Fans imagined championships stretching well into the 1990s. Some even believed the rich had just gotten richer. The Celtics hadn't just won another title. They had secured the future, or so everyone thought. Because less than 48 hours later, everything changed. June 19th, 1986. Just 2 days after hearing his name called on draft night, Len Bias returned to the University of Maryland campus. He had every reason to celebrate. He had just achieved the dream he'd spent his entire life chasing. Friends gathered. There was excitement, laughter, plans for the future. By the end of the summer, he'd be wearing a Boston Celtics jersey. By the fall, he'd be playing alongside Larry Bird. Everything he'd worked for was finally within reach. But sometime during the night, that future disappeared.
The Maryland medical examiner has now issued his report on the death of the college basketball star Len Bias that confirmed.
And he needs some assistance. What are you talking about? Someone needs, Len Bias needs help. He's not breathing right. Please come quick.
In the early morning hours, Len Bias collapsed. Despite efforts to save him, he was pronounced dead at just 22 years old. The official cause was a cardiac arrhythmia brought on by cocaine use. The news spread unbelievably fast. At first, people thought it had to be a mistake. How could the second overall pick, a player who had just been drafted by the defending NBA champions, be gone less than 2 days later? Boston was in shock. Maryland was devastated. The NBA couldn't believe it. Larry Bird later admitted the news hit him hard. The Celtics organization had spent draft night celebrating what they believed was the next chapter of their dynasty. Now, instead of introducing their newest star, they were mourning him. The excitement that filled Boston just 48 hours earlier had been replaced with silence. But the impact didn't stop with basketball. Len Bias's death became national news. Newspapers across America carried his story on the front page. Television networks interrupted regular programming. Politicians referenced his death in speeches about the growing drug crisis. Within months, Congress passed sweeping anti-drug legislation that became known as the Len Bias Law. His name, a name once expected to be remembered for championships and all-star appearances, had become part of one of the most significant moments in American drug policy. It's a heartbreaking twist. Most athletes dream of leaving a legacy through what they accomplish on the court. Len Bias left one, without ever playing a single NBA game. For the Celtics, the loss was impossible to replace. People often ask, couldn't Boston just draft someone else? Not really. Players like Len Bias don't come around every year. He wasn't expected to be just another role player. He was supposed to become the bridge between two generations. Bird was 29. McHale was 28. Parrish was already in his 30s. The Celtics weren't just thinking about the next season. They were thinking about the next decade. Bias was supposed to learn from 3 Hall of Famers, develop slowly, then eventually become the face of the franchise. Instead, that future vanished overnight. The timing couldn't have been worse. Just a few years later, Larry Bird's back injuries became more severe. The Celtics remained competitive, but they were no longer the unstoppable force they had been in the mid-1980s. Injuries mounted. The roster aged. Championship opportunities became harder to find. Boston reached the NBA Finals one more time in 1987. But they never won another championship during the Bird era. For years, fans couldn't help but wonder the same question. Would history have looked different if Len Bias had been there? And that's where this story becomes one of basketball's greatest mysteries. The reason people continue talking about Len Bias almost 40 years later isn't because of what he accomplished. It's because of what he represented. Hope. For the Celtics, he represented the future. For fans, he represented the next generation. For the NBA, he represented another young star ready to enter a league that was rapidly changing. And in a single night, all of that disappeared. The Celtics spent years trying to stay on top of the Eastern Conference. But time catches every dynasty. The Pistons grew stronger. Michael Jordan and the Bulls were getting better every season. Boston's window slowly closed. Would Len Bias have kept it open longer? We'll never know. And that's exactly why this story refuses to fade, because every basketball fan fills in the blanks differently. Some believe he would have been an NBA legend. Others think expectations were simply too high. The truth lies somewhere we can never reach. What we do know is this. By every account, Len Bias possessed extraordinary talent. He earned the respect of coaches, teammates, and scouts through years of hard work on the court. And just as he reached the doorstep of the NBA, his life was cut tragically short. His story became bigger than basketball. It changed conversations across the country. Today, whenever people debate the greatest what if in NBA history, one name almost always comes first: Len Bias. Not because we know what would have happened, but because we'll never stop wondering.